Welcome to News Updates on Today Ghana News TV. We are live on the satellite via Twitch for our viewers in Eastern European countries and also on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Today Ghana News TV. We are also on anchor.fm/podcast at Today Ghana News TV. Now the headlines. Bagbin directs reversal of suspension of road toll payment. Government abolishes all tolls on public roads and bridges. We have these and other stories coming your way. My name is Edna Sagbanya. The news is sponsored by Agbozo Herbal Clinic and the Links Cosmetology Training Institute. To our first story, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babin, has directed the Minister of Roads and Highways, Honorable Kwesi Amoako-Attah, to reverse the decision to stop road toll payments in the country.
So those are policy proposals that the minister has presented to the House. Until they are approved, nobody, and I mean nobody, has the authority to start implementing something that doesn't exist. But does that amount to a disrespect of the House? That is where I may differ. The minister, because this is not a court of law, might have misunderstood or misapplied the law. And so it's for us to draw his attention and tell him that you have no such authority. In spite of all the legal and linguistic gymnastics that have been displayed, it is very clear that what the minister sought to do, he has no such authority to do that. It's not a matter of operationalization of the law. There is no such law for him to operationalize. There is no such law. The law we have now has imposed the fees that they have been collecting. So it's being implemented. It's not like it's something you are going to now start. Can we pass a law which is being implemented and the implementing authority like the executive, they are having challenges with the law? They will not come back to the House. They can, on their own authority, decide not to implement the law. Is that what the law says? I say no. If they have any problem with the implementation of the law, then they have to come back to this House, because we don't just sit down and pass the laws. We consult the people who elected us to represent them here. That is why committees invite memoranda and invite people to appear before the committee. And so the executive cannot just on their own suspend the implementation of a law without coming back to the House. That is not democracy. That will be one-man rule. And so I want to clearly direct that what the minister has released is complete brutum fulmin. It means it's an empty boast. It has no effect. And therefore, I call on him to honorably withdraw that directive. Failure to do so will be a serious breach of the directive of the Speaker, and that will amount to contempt of Parliament.
Officer of Horseman-Shoes, Mr. Tony Sinaya, has praised former President John Dramani Mahama for his tolerance and harmonious nature towards even his critics. Mr. Tony Sinaya made this known in an interview recently with journalist Chenchenhini Boateng in Accra.
And John is a good guy. See, before he mentioned me, they told him that, Chief, this guy has been criticizing. He said, no, he's okay. He's Ghanaian, you know. So he mentioned me in February.
Yeah, the State of the Nation address.
Yes.
I remember very well.
And then in July, 1st July, I went on a demonstration against him. Yes, and then the party were very, very angry. So he got in touch again and told me to stay away from law. He said, Tony, our politics is so vicious. If you want to do business, stay away from politics. And I was touched because this is a certain president who has worn your shoes, giving you an endorsement money cannot pay for. You went on a demonstration against him. He still called you. Yeah, he still called and gave me an advice, you know.
So John Mahama himself called you and
in
advised
fact,
you.
Yeah, he was someone. So I told someone about the situation. Oh no, okay, he will speak to him. So he was the first, and then we had there. He said no, he has seen the pictures and videos of me at the demonstration, but he would advise that I focus on my.
Do you regret going for that demonstration? Do you regret
yes, with
essentially campaigning for change at the time?
With the benefit of hindsight, I think that it was politically incorrect. Yes, so yes, I do regret, and I also think that the conveners sold was a bit different on the ground. You know, it was like a Ghanaian thing, but when you got there, you realized that
it was an NPP thing.
Well, they were political actors. let me put it that way. So today, most of them who were some are finance ministers, some are GIPC, some are ministers, some are office of the president. You know, some are.
And this is the Occupy Flagstaff House.
Yeah.
The Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has said the government has abolished all tolls on public roads and bridges. During the presentation of the 2022 budget statement to Parliament on Wednesday, November 17, he said this takes effect immediately the budget is approved. The toll collection personnel will be reassigned. Government will complete its work with this House to pass the fees and charges bills for implementation in 2022. These fees and charges will be subject to automatic adjustment consistent with the annual average inflation as announced by the Ghana Statistical Service. Joining us tonight is Mr. Adete Soa, Executive Director of Disabled Christian Fellowship International, to speak to us about the toll booths and its reaped effect on persons living with disabilities in Ghana. Welcome to News Updates, Mr. Soa.
Yeah, thanks very much, and thanks for your viewers who are actually watching from afar.
You're welcome. Okay.
I appreciate your time too.
Okay. What is your general comment on the 2022 budget, specifically the toll booth closure?
Well, in actual fact, I wanted to emphasize particularly on persons living with disability because I'm also a person living with disability. As it were, you know, before the sector minister, Honorable Amwakwata, you know, when he was actually appointed, intimated that he would try to include a lot of persons with disability because most of our works are quite sedentary. He lived up to that expectations, came to the offices of the person living with disability, have interactions with the Ghana Federations of the Disabled. About 400 or so disabled people well employed in that perspective. Kudos to his effort, kudos to his vision. Fortunately, today, a new directives have come by him that the closure of the toll booth. You could see that these 400 persons with disability across the country will have very challenges, you know, making ends meet because as it were, Ghanaians are aware, I mean, the society is aware of the difficulties we faced because of stereotyping, you know, marginalizations in trying to, as it were, get unemployment. So if these 400 people who, by no fault of theirs or in default, have actually been now being, as it were, rusticated, so to say, then it will be quite difficult. Because of proximity and other things to the toll booths, a lot more of them have to try to, you know, come up from where they are living to have proximity to the toll booths, and then they have to rent houses among other things, you know, to be able to get closer to the toll booths. So that at the end of the day, because it was also a shift program. Today, all these people who have actually rented houses so close to the toll booth will have challenges. And this is what we felt that there is a need for us to engage government, particularly the sector minister. I know he have the empathy of our inclusions. Without that, he wouldn't have employed about 400. That is tremendous, the number of 400 persons living with disability being employed by the sector minister also. I think he leave out to it. So once this is the new director that I think I will actually entreat the sector minister, particularly the roads and highways ministry, to re-engage these persons with disability who no fault of lack the wherewithal and the political ability to fight for themselves. Once he was able to employ them, he should be able to reassign them, because if they go back to their various sources without doing nothing, it will be a very challenge. And already we are facing challenges with employment. So I think our entreating, with the greatest respect and dignity, is a man with integrity, nobility, had the empathy to employers. We should try to find ways to be able to, as it were, reassign us in another form of employment.
Okay. The Minister of Finance said affected workers will be reassigned. Do you have any idea where they will be reassigned to?
Well, as I speak to you today, none of them knew or probably have any knowledge or foreknowledge as to where to be reassigned. That I cannot tell. But it is my belief and conviction that as the year passed by, meaningful inroads will be made in that engagement, particularly with the Ghana Federations of Disability and other allied organizations of persons living with disability across the country, to be able to reassign in other sectors within the region and within the district.
Okay. Were there any engagements with the disability organizations before the closure?
No, you could say that was actually done in a haste, and that is why, because it was quickly done in haste after the Ministry of Finance have read the budget statement, the policies which they wanted to undertake within the year 2022. Quickly on that same day, he gave that directive that auto booths should be closed down. You know, I think probably it was under impulse, but I believe that looking at it realistically, he may have a positive talk. He may engage Parliament, and they will see how best they can be able to put things into perspective.
Okay. So do you have any idea on what they are doing right now that they're staying at home?
As of today, what I realized was that, heads of the various person with disability organizations, particularly the fiscal disabled and the deaf organizations, are actually having some sort of discourse as to how best they'll be able to engage the sector minister, or probably those who are in charge. Because you can also clear that the toll booth has also been signed to what should I say, some agency. And so I think the agencies, as well as the Ministry of Roads and Highways, will be part of the discussions and based upon those deliberations, we will to come back with something positive.
Okay. So right now, what is the way forward for people living with disability?
I'm here for you, darling.
Their jobs.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Soa. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we've lost Mr. Soa there. We will try and connect him to end the discussion. Going for a short commercial break. We will be right back.
Dead before this honor, no weapon formed against I shall prosper. The wicked and his work shall go down in disaster. For this honor, no weapon formed against I shall prosper. I'm anointed and appointed to walk as a winner. This is your still King Malakia from out of Jamaica, representing for GhanaNews TV, the web TV for the best programs. We broadcast via satellite and also on all social media platforms. We do developmental news, social program, employment, entertainment, and educative politics. Today before this honor, perform against I shall prosper. We are anointed and appointed to walk as a winner. Whoa.
Welcome back from that short break. The Ghana Football Association has officially responded to the match manipulation allegations raised by the South African Football Association, SAFA, before the Federation Internationale de Football Association, FIFA. Quoting copiously from FIFA laws, the Ghana FA in its response described SAFA's protest as incompetent, frivolous, and an attempt to solve the World Cup brand and Black Stars image. Joining us from South Africa to speak to us on how Ghanaians are living in fears over Ghana-South Africa soccer impasse is Mr. Bennett Konedu Yado, a Ghanaian youth activist and social commentator. Hello.
Hello, Edna. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're welcome to News Update.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good evening to our viewers and our listeners all over the world.
Good evening. Were you and other Ghanaian citizens in South Africa living in fears?
Edna, I must say that we, as the Ghanaian community in South Africa, aren't living in fear because we understand that South Africa and Ghana have had a very strong relationship for a very long time, and our relationship transcends, football and politics. And in fact, South Africans understand that football is a game. As much as it's a passion, they truly believe that football is a game and mistakes are bound to happen. And so I've spoken to a lot of Ghanaians all over the country, and none of them has expressed, concerns of fears and doubts in terms of security. And so for me, and many Ghanaians who live in this country, we are very safe. We are very, very safe. Very, very, very safe. When I say we are safe, we are very, very safe.
Oh, okay. That is good. We saw the petition from South Africa Football Association wrote to FIFA and the response from the president of Ghana Football Association. What do you think about Ghana's FA press statement?
Edna, it's quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate, the response that came from the Ghanaian FA. For me, as a Ghanaian, I felt like the Ghanaian FA did not behave rationally. We must be fair with ourselves to say, if South Africa, I listened to the SAFA press conference and they made allegations, and none of the allegations were made to target our FA. In fact, they spoke to the match and incidents that happened in the course of the match. Nowhere in their press statement did they attack the Ghanaian FA. And if you look at the response that came from the Ghanaian FA, it clearly they were quite sentimental and quite emotional. And as a Ghanaian living in South Africa, I felt so bad that such response could come from our FA. In fact, I've been following social media commentaries in South Africa with regards to the match, and many South Africans were actually disappointed in our FA, but they felt like the response that came from the FA was quite amateurish, and some of them were even questioning the legal team's ability to that effect. And so, for me as a Ghanaian, I must be fair to say that the response that came from the FA was not worth it. They were supposed to be quite decent in their wording, if that is the right thing to say. And so for me, the FA's response was quite important. Really, it was quite important, and it got a lot of South Africans hurt. Just this evening, I was speaking to one South African football enthusiast who had also gone through the FA's response, and he told me that he felt like the Ghanaian FA doesn't respect South Africa. They don't put respect on the South African football, and it's quite unfortunate because if you look at the response from the Ghanaian FA, it seemed as though South Africa has never qualified for the World Cup. But even before South Africa qualified, even before Ghana made our first debut in 2006, South Africa had been there twice. And so when it comes to the World Cup, South Africans are much more experienced than we are, because they were there in 1998 and again in 2002 before we made our debut in 2006. And so if or Mr. Okrekumente and his guys, say that Ghana is a powerhouse in African football, and so South Africa cannot compare themselves with them. It's quite unfortunate. We are not doing politics; we are playing football. And if you say that, you are actually infuriating the South Africans against the Ghanaian community here. But thank God, South Africans are very many people have that mentality that South Africans aren't tolerating. But I can tell you that when it comes to football, South Africans are very, very understanding. And like I said, I've spoken to a lot of Ghanaians here, and everybody is safe. Everyone is safe, as much as the response from the Ghanaian FA was quite unfortunate.
Okay. We're glad to hear that. So what will be your advice to those in authority responsible for a peaceful solution to this impasse?
For now, this thing has become a diplomatic issue. It has become a diplomatic issue. And I would say that both FAs must find an amicable way to deal with the issue. South Africa and Ghana, have had great relationships, Recently, we were talking about visa waivers and stuff like that. And so we don't have to allow football to come and creep in and destroy the relationship we've built over the years. And so I will implore the Ghanaian FA, Mr. Okrekumente, to sort of look at the way they deal with the issue. South Africans are already taking the issue very lightly. If you see people voicing out on social media, but if you meet them one-on-one, they are very different, and they are very jovial as well. They are jovial over the match, and so we shouldn't get them angry by our wordings. We should be very, very careful how we deal with the issue. We should be very, very careful, because this thing can transcend into something that might spoil the relationship we've had with South Africa. Most of the times we hear issues of xenophobia and stuff like that, but Ghanaians hardly get hate in South Africa because we've had that strong relationship with South Africans. In fact, if you go somewhere and they see you, once they see you, they know that you're a foreigner. But once you tell them you're a Ghanaian, there's a way, they approach you, and there's a way they talk to you, because they know Ghanaians as very decent people. And I want that relationship to continue like that. So the Ghanaian FA and the Ghanaian government, if possible, should find a very decent way to deal with South Africa. I know the issue is with FIFA right now, but we should be very, very careful going forward. We shouldn't, pass, a derogatory comment that might spark any form of attack on Ghanaians living in South Africa.
Okay. Thank you for speaking to us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay. That was Mr. Bennett Kunedu Yadom, a Ghanaian youth activist and social commentator from South Africa. Moving forward, the founder and leader of All People's Congress, APC, Dr. Mahama Ayariga, has described the controversial e-levy stated in the 2022 budget as wicked and insensitive to the already suffering Ghanaians. Speaking at press conference in Accra this afternoon, the 2020 presidential candidate of APC said the NPP government, led by President Nana Akufo-Addo and his family government, are imposing killer taxes on Ghanaians to satisfy their obese opulence and luxury lifestyle. Mr. Mahama Ayariga called on Parliament, especially those in the minority caucus, to reject outright the e-levy and some portions of the budget which is not in the interest of already suffering Ghanaians. He called on progressive forces and like-minded Ghanaians to stand up against the oppressor's rule of Nana Akufo-Addo and his henchmen. On the issue of tax and borrowing, Dr. Ayariga says borrowing is not an option, but taxation and production is the best option as a country, and therefore appeal to governments to widen the tax network and institute proper channels to collect tax properly and desist from borrowing as a country.
Or do we tax? Do we borrow? Or do we tax? I believe we have gotten to the crossroad where borrowing is not an option anymore, but taxation and production is the best option for us now. We need to widen our tax network, institute proper channels to collect tax properly. We cannot continue to borrow we have to move from borrowing to production, manufacturing, and taxation. Nations are better off when its citizens decide to contribute towards its development. The taxes we pay should be used to build schools, roads, hospitals, homes, infrastructure, and etc. Now my question is, can we trust the government to make good decisions with our taxes? Because we need the roads, we need the hospitals, and we need the schools. And we cannot continue to say we should borrow, because all our resources, we've used that as collateral for borrowing. Our bauxite, our oil, everything. We are borrowing with it. Now we are getting the crossroad. Do we contribute to build our country, or do we keep borrowing? I believe that Ghanaians really want to pay taxes, but they do not want to pay nuisance taxes. Taxes that will not ignore to their development. Because that's the only way to go now. Government must stop borrowing. Must stop borrowing. Enough is enough of the borrowing. This country is suffering due to the loud silence of the clergy, peace council, some civil society.
Okay, and that will be it for tonight. But before I go, I would like to pick some of the comments on Facebook. From Patience Darko, good evening, Edna. I am watching you live from Hamburg, Germany. Thank you, madam. From Odoi Tama, watching live from Tamale. Thank you, Odoi. From Seth AJ Mim, I have seen my brother live. Okay. Na Efia Charlotte, I am watching from France. Okay, thank you, Na. Wise Fight, watching you live from the United States of Amasaman. Thank you, Wise. From Wise Fight again, love your tank. VIS Ghana, good evening, Ghana. I'm watching you live. Thank you. Okay, so that will be it for tonight. My name is Edna Sagonya, and the news was brought to you by Agbozo Herbal Clinic and the Links Cosmetology Training Institute.